Sup. Okay, we gotta talk about Lynette, Pyro, and does Hoyoverse hate Pyro? Because I at this point, maybe not hate. Hate is a strong word. Is Hoyoverse scared of Pyro? Is probably a more accurate way to put this, because judging from how Linny's kit looks, and I mean whatever they showed and how they introduced him, he's not gonna be like the new definitive Pyro unit for sure. I know that much for sure. So welcome back. It usually doesn't hit me until after I go to sleep and then wake up after the live stream to really get a better idea of what they even said. In the moment, I'm excited. Like, I'm just excited and hyped that Fontaine's finally here. We get to progress in the story, blah blah blah. But in actuality, there's a lot of details regarding the live stream and what they showed that doesn't really click. And one of them is Linny. Characters usually for me doesn't, like, I don't want to give knee-jerk reactions to characters, but I oftentimes do. But it's just I try my best not to. But even afterwards now, I don't think, like, reevaluating that character, firstly, I don't think its demographic to begin with, and I'm sure a lot of us aren't the demographic that they're trying to sell the character to. Linny is a character that's very flamboyant, he's very showy, and he, you know, with his whole design aesthetic is mostly targeted towards, I think, a more female demographic, right? And on top of that, his ultimate is super cute. Burst skill, right? Turns him into a giant cat in a hat. It's like wah 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 wah. Like, sure, I'm positive if you invest into him, build him well, he will work wonders. He'll do great. But I don't think he's going to be like, wow, amazing. I think if they release next patch, if they release like a pink suitcase, that's the character. But that pink suitcase does more damage than C6 Yalan at C0 free to play. That pink suitcase is going to sell very, very well. Especially if they make a legit PV for the suitcase and stuff, and people are gonna have FOMO, be like, oh my god, it's a limited time character, never coming back, or whatever the fuck. Like, they'll find ways to make the pink suitcase OP, and everybody's gonna pull for it. It's gonna be the best banner in history, right? So how the character performs really, really matters to a lot of people who have the power to spend money. So Linny, being as he is, seeing how he plays, and like mostly it's just the way he interacts with the enemies and how he's playing, just doesn't feel it doesn't feel good. It really doesn't. It doesn't look good, and I don't know, like, playing it might not, and us combining that with the fact that he's a bow character is just like the nail in the coffin in the end. It's just, I don't think, I know people were looking to 4.0 and seeing how the banner sales do, but like, I'll be honest with you guys, I don't think the banner sales are going to be that good. I think they're going to be decent because they are the poster characters for Fontaine. I think they're going to be decent. I don't think they're going to be as bad as Eula Klee per se, but yeah. Thank you, Marcus Bullock, and for the 199. And it says, you mean to tell me that Twink Bowser is Blade VA? Is he Blade's VA? Is that Blade's VA? I didn't even notice, I'll be honest. Ye says, heard from a controversial CN streamer. He says that Linny's damage is off the charts and he buries all mono carries before him, like Zhao, Ito, Wonder, Ayaka, etc. Wait a minute. Let's just see, okay? If he's a mono pyro, what are they playing him with? Bennett? Does Bennett's ult even help bow characters? No. So C6 Bennett is off the table. Sword Claimer polearm wielding characters. I thought that guy's I thought that guy was bow character. Yeah, Zhangling. So because they're talking about mono pyro, so Bennett has to be in it. Like I just don't see a situation where mono pyro and Bennett is not in there somewhere. So pyro Zhangling. So it's like Linny, Zhangling, right? Zhangling gives this buff. Am I missing something for Bennett? What? It's not Bennett C6 that buffs him, is it? Linny, Zhangling, Bennett, Dia. Linny, Zhangling, Bennett, Dia. I mean, I don't know. So I don't know what he scales off of. Is he just a traditional attack scaling character? Because then, yeah, obviously Bennett is going to help him there, but C6 Bennett won't help him. But Bennett will help him if he's just simply an attack scaling character. Which I mean, he looks to be an attack scaling character. I wouldn't think otherwise. But mono pyro, it's very interesting because I thought Dia was gonna be a pretty good mono character. Like I was hoping, actually, not I think. I was hoping Dia could be a good mono pyro character. Turns out she was alright. Like disappointing, yeah, but she was alright. Who says mono teams are not good? Yeah, I know. In my honest opinion, the best mono teams right now are Zhao, Wanderer, and Ito. These three mono teams are good. The other ones kind of, it's mainly because Anemo and Geo just have more flexibility in their applications against other enemies, as opposed to like Electro. Eventually, if Hydro Hyper mono teams come out, like it could. I mean, mono teams are very situational, but mono teams are utterly useless against their own element, right? I don't like it when mono teams comes up against like certain elemental enemies. They basically just become useless, and I don't think that's good game design. But again, that's just my opinion. You could say Ayaka's current team is like a mono cryo team, but that's like a freeze team basically, because mono teams I think strictly have to be 4 of the same units, and freeze is too good to ignore. Pyro, like mono pyro could work, but I think the applications and uses of mono pyro are going to be very limited. But whenever it works, it's going to work very well. Right, works well, and then sometimes useless. Whereas there's plenty of teams in the game right now that have more applications. So when you're thinking of investing into a character, don't you want to invest into something that has a wider application, more relevancy? Especially if you know Natlin is gonna come like in another year or something like that, which sounds like a long time, but I guarantee you guys, 1 year goes by really fast. Natlin's gonna roll around, and then if you have hyper invested into Linny, which oftentimes for mono teams you guys can't argue against, is they will make you invest into mono teams. Mono teams, the whole charm of it is like one elemental hyper carry that gets boosted out the butt cheeks, and it's just hitting for insane numbers as long as you pull for the weapon, as long as you got the character invested into their artifacts insanely, like max out their talents and everything like that. Yeah, like it could be good. Bethesda says Dia got a team now because Linny needs interruption resistance. Meta-wise, Linny's Linny team is a segue to Mono Pyro Klee. Linny deals more single target damage. I was just thinking, like, does Linny solely only work in a Mono Pyro team? Can we not make him work any other way? Can he not play, like, what's... Because right now I don't know his thing. Like, could he not be a melt unit? Could he not be a, like, what if you paired him with Ganyu? Like Linny, Ganyu, Zhongli with or Linny, Ganyu, Yoda? I don't know. Like, I'm just thinking out, like trying to think outside the box. What makes him strictly a mono pyro unit? Does he lack good interactions? Does he have ICD issues? Does he have scaling issues? Right? Does he have playstyle issues? What is limiting him into other like things that is pyro accessible? Jellowcat says, I'm using Tank Fei with Linny for interruptions. Yeah. Tank Fei, Linny seems like a shared DPS situation, like whatever. Because I don't know, like, was he using charge shots or was he using like attack strings? Because if he's a pyro bow user, you would think that Yoimiya is going to be a close competition to him. All right, like, why would people pull him? Like, why would people choose him over Yoimiya? Maybe it's newer, and of course with the new mechanics involving the Fontaine units and the new monsters, Linny just definitely seems like the better choice. But yeah, if people build him with Tank Fei, then you don't need a shielder, then you could drop Dia. For who though? If you run Tank Fei, are you dropping Dia? No, you're dropping Xiangling probably, yeah. For people who have Dia, you're probably dropping Xiangling, playing with Linny. Pyro got new charge shots, right? And apparently his talent screws with melt reactions, which I don't know why HoYoverse wants to box us in like this. They design an intricate elemental system with with each element having different interactions with other elements, excluding Geo and Anemo. And then they restrict you to the degree where one pyro character can only basically be played one, sometimes two ways. For example, Yoimiya is basically a strictly vape unit. Sure, you can melt with her, but it's just not as good. And you like, oftentimes it's because you're lacking a good synergy between two units. Right now, Linny, not only is he basically he has anti-synergy from what it sounds like to melt, he also is forced to, I don't know if he's forced to or whatnot, like he wants to have resistance to interruption as a bow character who's also a charge shot character. So now Diaz looks more, it's like they continuously do this where they release a character in a terrible state and then eventually the character gets better, which sells you more FOMO. And the only reason the character got better was because another character came out that could really use that character's help. It's just, usually the order should be backwards, right? You should have a character like Linny comes out, blah 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 blah, and then a character like Dia comes out, blah 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 blah, and then these two can have synergy. But right now it seems like they always want you to pull for a character even if it looks bad and it's absolute dookies. You need to have faith in HoYoverse that eventually it's going to be good, right? Same with Yaimiko, same with Kuki Shinobu. There's a lot of characters that comes out crap, and then many patches later, like 3-4 patches later, they start getting a lot better. It's like it's a terrible system for players to play into this mind game of, oh, okay, I'm gonna invest now so that 6 months later I can have a good character. It's so bizarre. Like, is that not bizarre? Am I the crazy one, or is that just, or is that entire like that entire string of logic, reasoning just sounds so like, oh, WTF, or why? And it's not just one time, right? They've done it many times. So at this point, for the people who, but you see, another thing is they don't make it super meta. They don't make it super meta. Okay, no, not true. They have made it pretty much meta, because Yaimiko is one of the more consistently growing units patch by patch. You guys, if you look at the numbers and stats, Yaimiko has been very beloved by the community and meta players in general. And most patches, she's like creeping up slowly, and people just love her consistency, or they love whatever. They love Yaimiko. Kuki Shinobu, let's just not even talk. Kuki Shinobu is like the default go-to electro healer for... I mean, she is the only electro healer. I know people are gonna be like, Walrus, you're forgetting Dori. No, I'm not forgetting Dori. She doesn't exist. If you have Kuki Shinobu, you're using Kuki Shinobu. Kuki Shinobu is like the character to go for. But, and same thing, Yaimiko has competition in Fischl, right? But Yaimiko and Fischl works in different Dendro scenarios as well. So Yaimiko is great. Now we have the situation with Dia. You would, like, when Yaimiko first came out and how she performed, you would not have thought that Hoyoverse had a way to salvage that character unless they buffed the character, which they never did. But they sold you the solution to a problem. The problem was Yaimiko had very little applications. She felt very awkward to play, right? And it just, it was a very confused character. Where are you going to slot this character? How are you going to play this character? That's what Yaimiko was when she first came out. So then Hoyoverse eventually, through Dendro, sold you the solution to a problem that they created. And of course, Dendro solved many problems because they basically just uplifted the entire Electro roster, and depending on their applications and uses, they all found a special role to exist in the Dendro meta space. Amazing, kudos. And then now we have this. Now we have Dia. This character is just suffering, lamenting. Like, really, we should call her Zhao 2.0, because this unit is just being pulled through the mud and back. Right now, there's so much hopium being like, okay, finally, we have a character that Dia can synergize with, which, amazing, great, perfect. Like, I never once said, I hope Dia never becomes better. But it's just that, why does it have to be in this manner? And why so restrictive? This is the thing. Hoyoverse has been so stingy. You cannot convince me otherwise. Hoyoverse has been so stingy with pyro characters. And to a degree, hydro characters, but hydro characters for the most part is almost impossible to mess up hydro characters. Almost, right? Because if you want to mess up a hydro character, you have to make sure it has no synergy with like pyro, which nowadays it seems like they don't want that, right? They're the first thing to get crossed off the list in terms of synergy with hydro nowadays is pyro. One of the best synergies in the game. They make sure that's not happening, right? Hydro pyro synergies usually are off the table nowadays. Followed by that, hydro still has cryo, which also usually is crossed off the list because of application issues, right? Hydro cryo is another insane synergy that they don't want us abusing, so crossed off the list. So pyro, cryo, immediately cross off the list. Electro, nobody plays it. Strictly hydro electro synergies, nobody is actively still playing it. But it's only when Dendro is involved this becomes like an interesting discussion. Like right now, Hydro and Dendro has very good relations with each other in terms of synergies and how much synergies there is and how much Hoyoverse will allow to happen. But eventually they're gonna have to open up Hydro Cryo, Hydro Pyro again. I mean that's just for the development of the game. The Sessa says, Walrus, the problem this time is HP draining. Get 36 crit rate effect. The later enemies of Sumeru can already kill you, so I expect Fontaine wants to do more. They even destroy Zhongli's shield easy. Dia for the win. Yeah, like, it's just designing things into the game to service, which is also really bizarre in that they're trying really hard to keep old units meta as well. Think of Hu Tao. When did Hu Tao come out? Like patch 1.3, right? They're still trying to keep units from patch 1.3, and also Tartaglia is pretty meta. They're keeping units from 1.1, 1.3 still relevant in the game in order to sell their reruns. So it's like they're juggling so much, and the artificial aspects of making sure certain characters don't work with certain other characters. The deliberate decision to do that is also in service to making sure their older units who do have good synergies with those elements, those characters stay relevant and continue selling well on reruns, especially to newer players and players who are C6 hunters. Even free-to-plays who want to hunt for C6 probably are still working on some of the older characters, especially if you don't have the Welkin Moon, right? So it's a very interesting business decision, what they've done here. Anissa says, only Venti is not relevant these days, Sag. Venti is relevant when Hoyoverse wants to rerun him and make a quick buck. Glitch Variable says, every character doesn't need to be a Hu Tao nor Yoimiya. Dia is not designed to compete with them. She has her own turf. Oh yeah, for sure. And that's the other thing, right? You cannot have all characters playing the same way, because if all of them play the same way, then each of them loses a lot of charm, right, and focus. So I totally agree, but like, what's to stop them from making a pyro character that is so niche and unique in like 3-4 years time, and that character has literally one job in the game, and outside of that unique job that they have, they're practically non-playable. And by then they released like a mob, because this is how Hoyoverse gets you, right? Okay, you don't want to pull for this character, but this character has a unique mechanic, right? And then eventually they might create mobs that needs that unique mechanics to deal with. Right now there's like, they've already done that in Fontaine in creating the units that you need to hit with Fontaine units. Fontaine, like the lore was like, Fontaine units vision has some unique properties dealing with local Fontaine monsters, and have are able to disarm them or whatever the hell. That mechanic is very rudimentary right now, but once it gets into the abyss, I'm sure we'll see how influential having a Fontaine character versus not having a Fontaine character would be. You would have to likely be a small spender to a medium-sized spender to overwrite that problem solely through power alone. So I honestly don't know about power creep, but Hoyoverse definitely has a lot of utility creep, which I think, yes, it's infinitely better than power creep, but at the same time, it still puts you on like this treadmill where they dangle a carrot in front of you and you gotta constantly chase it. And if you don't chase it, there will come a day where you just fall out, unless you're a huge whale, right? I'm sure the people who like got multiple C6 R5 units, they're not struggling like whatsoever. I mean, depends which one you got. I don't know how C6R5 Klee is doing nowadays, but I'm sure that if you have a C6R5 Klee, she should still be fine. You know, even Klee should still be fine. C6R5 Eula is still fine. So you shouldn't really be struggling in the game. Even if you just have one C6R5 unit, no matter which 5-star it is, unless it's a standard banner one. I mean, if it's a standard banner one and it's Tighnari, then it's fine as well. So really, it's like, it's all part of the system, right? It's all part of the ecosystem. They made the game relatively easy, not super easy, but relatively easy, so that the Giga Whales can always clear it, but then the mid to low tier spenders can start feeling the ramp up of difficulty. So making the mid to low tier players having to be very conscious of what they decide to pull and skip. But Sasa says Leaker said there is a Tighnari rerun in 4.1, so it's possible that Dia gets rerun in the future. It would make sense if they give her super buffs, like basically make most Fontaine unit want to have a Dia on their team, which I don't know how they're going to achieve that. And how nothing is like, they're not going to make a big sale until Focalor comes out, and that's just a fact because everybody's waiting on the Archon for the best element in the game, right? It's not a stretch to say that Hydro is the best element in the game right now, and the Hydro Archon is going to be the Archon of the best element. Who's going to want to miss that? Razor and Diluc are pretty fluid gameplay wise. Yeah, the older units had much less restrictions because they never ran into issues yet back then. So the old characters, you'll see that they have worst overall kits because back then the Hoyoverse designing kits are just terrible. Their scaling is way like behind the curve. However, there are very little restrictions to how they play. So they're very open to different, like Diluc can, I don't know, like Diluc can play Melt, which is his more popular playstyle, I would believe. I think Diluc Melt wise was a better. I don't know about his Vaporize, but I'm sure it's like it's playable, but it's not great. And on top of that, like I'm sure if Burning comes out, Diluc can work okay with Burning, because like Diluc is just that character. I don't think Hoyoverse really had that way of thinking, be like, okay, we need to make sure this character doesn't work with this, so then we keep him in this category of DPS. Back then it was just whatever went. It's just his scaling, his constellations and stuff like that just doesn't work out very well, in my opinion. Nihara said, is asking, how is the Hydra Archon could be better than Xingqiu and Yelan? Well, you see, this is the situation. Let's look at all the other Archons and then try to evaluate their existence to other really good units in their category. Let's start with Venti, right? Let's start with Zhongli, okay? So Zhongli is the Geo Archon, but if you compare Zhongli to someone, let's say Ito, who's another really solid Geo character, would you say Zhongli is better than Ito? Like, in the sense that overall usefulness, Zhongli is better, right? He is more applicable to different team comps that aren't restricted to the ways that Ito wants to play. So quickly we'll see that what Archons achieve is diversity. Flexibility is that Archons can oftentimes be put into many different teams. So again, let's look at the Electro Archon and try to evaluate the same thing. Compare the Electro Archon to someone like Yaimiko, who also can be flexed into many different teams, right? But Raiden Shogun is a part of just more potential synergies simply because of a universal feature. Same with Zhongli, a universal feature to the that is exclusive to the character. So Zhongli with his big fat shield that also has an aura that reduces all resistance, and then Raiden Shogun is her unique ability to battery anyone in the game, anybody, right? Although that hasn't really shown itself to be very impactful in many teams. So when it comes to just general synergies, I think Zhongli has more general synergies, but Raiden Shogun has some of the better synergies. If that am I making sense? Like Zhongli can be slapped into like most, if not all, team, but you know the synergy is okay because he's just giving you a shield that has an aura on it, so it's like not insane, right? Like, but Raiden Shogun, although fewer units would actually need her universal battery, but the teams that she does fit and play well with are super strong. And then going forward now to Nahida, her unique properties is just EM buffing, right? And of course Dendro is super strong. She has great application. Overall this character is just really good, and she has a passive that wants you to pair that. Like her passive is also very open-ended. You want hydro characters, or you want electro characters, or you want pyro characters on your team, right? So these three elements she wants on her team, and of course it just so happens to be the three elements that have synergies with Dendro. Wow, what a coincidence. But you'll see these archons are supposed to be universal characters. They're supposed to be characters that are like the go-to unit to pair whenever you need that element, or if you need, like, if you, and then again, like, nah, like, because even with the arrival of Dendro, Raiden Shogun, even as just a pure EM background character with her elemental skill, has been doing really good. So yeah, so that statement is true. They're very universal. So now we apply that same logic to Focalors, meaning that if you ever need, like, firstly, you guys have to realize their unique properties doesn't really have anything to do with their element. You see what I mean? Zhongli shield, sure. Geo, the defensive element, whatever, blah 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 blah. Geo and shielding doesn't have to be like married to each other. You know what I mean? Zhongli could have easily been what Raiden Shogun did. Right? Zhongli could have been the battery archon, and Raiden Shogun could have been the shield archon. It's like the element doesn't have to be married to the unique things that they do, right? Nahida could have been a battery. Zhongli could have been an EM buffer. Raiden could have been what are we missing? Shielder. Yeah, Raiden could have been a shielder. Like it doesn't have conflicts with their elements. You guys might think, wait, no, that doesn't work. That's crazy. No, that's it ruins synergies. But I'm just saying, like, it's not like Raiden is this because of her element. Zhongli does that because of his element. No. So when we think about Focalors, we cannot strictly think, oh my god, only hydro synergies. No. When it comes to her unique, very unique properties. So for example, right, HP buffing. I'm just throwing it out there. HP buffing could be one of the things, maybe a very unique way to buff HP. Maybe increase your max HP, increase your whole team's max HP, right? Whatever. Or like drops an aura, and whenever you're in that aura, all your characters' max HP steadily increases until it maxes out at a certain point. And the max HP you can get is maybe an extra 30% max HP, as long as you stay within this zone, and it's like a big ass zone, for example. And this zone also applies hydro onto enemies, and applies like the Fontaine Vision thing. You know what I mean? Remember the Fontaine Vision thing, debuffing enemies, blah 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 blah, whatever, right? That huge AoE, and so then that field, so look how good that field already becomes. And of course, if they want, they can add while you're in the field, you gain max HP as well as interruption to resistance to interruption, right? So that field gives max HP buff, resistance to interruption, as well as applies the effect of the Fontaine vision to the enemies. So that's, and also applies Hydro, for example, like periodically applies Hydro, so at the same rate maybe as Kokomi. So that's one skill. Then firstly, she's already a good freeze synergy character, so I don't know if she's gonna, if that's what she does, can she replace Kokomi in Ayaka team? Cannot, because she doesn't heal. So what if when you get her to C2 or C4, she also has healing properties? But then again, if her HP buffing mechanic is so strong that you don't need to heal, what if her HP buffing mechanic is so OP? So think about it like this, right? Like this might be a little difficult to imagine, but think about it. Ayaka, let's just use Ayaka free. So maybe she can replace Kokomi in an Ayaka team if that's what she does, because let's say Ayaka had 10,000 HP. She loses 3,000 HP, and the Folklore comes out, drops her field. Ayaka now goes back to 1,000 HP, but her max HP becomes 13,000. And then when her field ends, the extra 13,000 disappears. And now, because her aura gave Ayaka an additional 3,000 health, now Ayaka's back to full health. She's back to 10,000 health, and Ayaka loses 3,000 health, or Ayaka loses 5,000 health, and the Folklore comes back, puts on the buff. That goes from 5,000 to 8,000, and then eventually goes down. Now she has 8,000. When the field ends, she has 8,000 out of 10,000. Continuously doing this, as long as her field has good uptime. I'm just saying, right? Do you really need Kokomi in that scenario? Now, I don't know, like, again, that's just me painting an imaginary scenario. But again, you see, the property to buff HP, increase a unit's max HP, has nothing to do with her being Hydro. These two things don't have to be, like, unified with each other. Bethesda says, Walrus, can we look at Hydro MC? Because they are the mini version of each Archon. They drain HP, do massive AoE Q, and good damage from E. Wait, so the Hydro MC right now drains HP? Interesting. So does Folklore drain your HP in exchange for what? A buff? Is she a buffer? Is she gonna take HP and then buff your team? Mark's Deluxe is Walrus. That isn't how max HP boost works, but that could be if Hoyoverse wanted to be. You know, like we if Hoyoverse wanted, like I said, like if Hoyoverse wanted a pink suitcase to come out as the next meta character, they can do it. They can design the game however they want, right? That's just one way how max HP could work. Another way is that your character doesn't gain the max HP, right? Like in terms of health. So for example, if you gain an extra 3,000 health, you stay at 10,000 health, and then you just have an extra headroom to go to 13,000, for example. Many different ways they can play around max HP. But if the Hydro MC, oh my god, like this is, if the Hydro MC drains their own health to do something, the only thing I can think of is buffing. There's no like what, like are you gonna make a hydro version of a character like Hu Tao Zhao or something like that? Like, oh, I drain my health to deal damage. I don't think that's an interesting concept at all. Like, I think losing your health to maybe buff your team could be something, and depending on the buff, because think about it, all the archons have been supportive units, right? So I don't think Full Salor, I don't think Full Salor is gonna come out and be like this super hyper carry oriented unit. I still think she's gonna be a supportive unit. So if it's something about, like, if the hint is HP drain, I don't really see any other possibility other than exchanging HP for buff. And since she's a hydro unit, she'll have a ton of HP. Right? Being a hydro unit, she has a ton of HP to give. But what buff? What's the buff? What could she possibly buff? And please don't tell me it's just an HP buff. Like, if she loses HP to buff HP, that's so boring. I don't know. Like, think about all, like, again, let's revisit all the archons. The best shield in the game, like, bar none, best shield in the game, that also combines offense into defense, right? That's Zhongli. The best battery in the game, which who doesn't want a quicker burst recharge? Of course, love it, love it, love it. And then Nahida, best Dendro application plus EM buffer. Kind of niche, but hey, has good applications with some of the meta characters that we have. And it's fine because Dendro, almost everybody can benefit from EM. So if you're playing Dendro, Nahida's like the go-to. And then comes Fontaine. Full Solo is like, I buff HP. Are we at the point in the game where HP really needs a unique buffing character? Do we really need a unit like that strictly buffs HP? We technically already have Yelan, and her existence in the game has opened up double hydro in a lot of teams, right? When she first came out, double hydro, which also got reworked to buff HP. What I could see happening with, if we want to make Full Salor really good, strong, is just give in exchange for her health, everybody on your team like gets a max HP buff and starts regenerating health. Maybe. So not only do they get a max HP buff, they also start healing and removing all negative effects. So like, if you apply burning to yourself, or like whatever the hell you did. CD reduction? I thought Raiden Shogun already had CD reduction. Where does that leave Kokomi though? That's right. That means the Hydro Archon's gonna have weak Hydro application. Kokomi, like, don't think of Kokomi as a sole healer. Kokomi actually has some of the better hydro application in the game. Now, yes, Xingqiu is still the king of hydro application, followed by Yelan, followed by Kokomi, but these hydro applications are all very relevant to how we play the game, right? Like, for example, a character that has very little relevance is Candace. Very little relevance, but just because the Hydro Archon can maybe heal doesn't immediately remove Kokomi from the game. Because if you can make Hydro Archon heal but have like minimum to limited Hydro application, then she still cannot replace Kokomi in the teams that actually matter, which is Ayaka Freeze. As long as Hoyoverse preserves Kokomi's roles in Ayaka Freeze, and some unique roles maybe in Dendro, unique Dendro teams, then Kokomi is still going to be good, right? Full Salor, if she heals, then her Hydro application has to be limited. If she doesn't heal, then her Hydro application has to be boosted up a little bit. It's like give or take. If you do too much for Full Salor, she edges out too many Hydro characters, like you guys said. Like, for example, Kokomi, if Fossa Lord applies better Hydro than Kokomi, heals similar to Kokomi, then why are you even playing Kokomi? Exactly. That's the question. Hoyoverse does not want to hurt their other characters through the existence of their new characters. So when balancing the Hydro Archon, they're probably going to give her a very unique kit to make sure she doesn't conflict with the other already good selling Hydro characters. Marcus Bullock said they did that with Venti though. Well, yeah, but that's because they couldn't find an answer for Venti. But they got frustrated with Venti. Basically, what happened to Venti is Hoyoverse admitting that they were wrong about Venti's design. It's also evident of how how far they've come in terms of game design. Truly, look, like if you just take a quick look at the 1.0 characters and what the game released with how they balance and release characters nowadays, there's a big difference. Kaskarin says, yes, she will use the power of water as the Oceanid says. The power of water is its ability to take on any shape. Bethesda says, Walruss, I think she could drain every character's HP for a buff and make every character work with the new DPS set 36% crit rate. Okay, let's go down that possibility, which means that you're going to need a healer. Right? If she drains every character's HP, you basically always have to run a healer with her. Who is going to be the healer that most people are running with her then? Yeah, Baiju, you got Kokomi. I just thought, I think of Baiju, Kokomi, Barbara. I don't know about Barbara. Like good meta healers. Good healers that people are already playing. Maybe all healers are getting a buff. Maybe Bennett, I don't know. Shinobu, yeah, like Shinobu, Bennett. These units that can heal. Chi-Chi. Interesting though. Chi-Chi with Fussalor. The more we talk about this possibility, the weirder of a character she becomes. I don't know, because remember, they want Archons to be universal characters that anybody can play, and they're relatively easy to play. There's very little nuances or drawbacks to playing these Archons. They've oftentimes have only just give without take. So especially for the more casual players or general players, would they want a character that drains their HP? See, immediately that's my question is, to the casual players and the ones who don't want the hassle, do they want to play a unit that constantly is draining them of their health? And I'm not saying that it's not possible or that's not good. They can definitely be very good. right? But it's just that putting that restriction. There's a lot of people who don't want to play Zhao or Hu Tao because the HP drain is too stressful for them to play around. And from HoYoVerse's perspective, you have to care about these players because this kind of unit only comes out once a year. And if you mess this character up because you were trying to get a little too saucy and creative with it, you might end up kicking yourself in the butt. Bench Gamer says, where did you think the Hydro Archon will drain HP? We're just brainstorming, and people were saying that the Hydro MC has a HP drain mechanic or like something like that, right? So then now we're just like, what if the Hydro Archon drains HP? It's just because they were saying the Archons have always just been what the MC is, but just on a just better, right? A better version of the MC. Which we're trying to entertain the idea of the Hydro Archon draining health in exchange for a huge buff, which sure, if the buff is just super good, very strong, then and the HP drain is not too punishing, like not half of your health or something like that, but maybe like take 10% of everyone's health and then gives you a buff for whatever, right? Sure, that could work. I can see that working. But you see, I'm also thinking of the possibility of her again being a good Hydro applicator in a similar way to Yelan and Xingqiu. Would that be good? Right? I'm trying to entertain the idea. Like, how good would that be? Would she be able to elevate currently existing Hydro synergies to a new level? Right? Like I said, HoYoVerse can do whatever the hell they want with this unit. Nahida's kit is already pretty BS if you think about it. Like how specific they were with Nahida's kit, right? Having 2 Pyros on the team is gonna give you this unique effect. Having 2 Hydros on this team is gonna give you this unique effect. Having like, right? Who is to say that Folklore is like having two Hydro and 1 Pyro will give you an effect. Having 1 Hydro, 1 Dendro will give you effect. Having 1 Hydro, 1 Dendro, and 2 Pyros would. You see what I mean? Like they could design whatever the hell they want into the game. If they want to have Folklore elevate the currently existing Hydro meta synergies, they could do that as well, right? This unit could be going in so many different directions. I guess that's also in part why she is so like people are so desperate to get their hands on Folklore. Gameplay wise, of course, not the other one. You guys need to yes, very sus. Glitch Variable says I've used Shatter since version 1, and I'm just now getting a character who can use shattering reaction as an augment. Shatter meta players. Matthias says Zhongli takes though. He takes your potential damage. He's a DPS loss. Hydro could take your HP and give a lot of damage. Hydro MC does do big AoE Q to your applicant. Well, if we're talking about opportunity cost, right? But the thing is, that's not what I meant, because you can easily just remove Zhongli to play the better damage option, right? So in essence, he's not really taking anything from your team. You're taking it as a very literal point in that like he's taking up a slot, but what I'm saying is like he's not asking for anything in return from your teammates to as a condition to activate his abilities. Because in that example, yeah, you just drop Zhongli and play the better TPS option, right? Then that problem does this, but if we're talking about a character that like in order for their ability to even take effect, they first have to take something in exchange. Oftentimes it's HP. J Mike says it's like the topic of how to make a pyro character vaporize but not melt. Oh my god, that fucking thing. Yeah, they also have to balance stuff like that, right? Like, because right now, yeah, they're trying to balance Folklore in many ways. There's a ton of good Hydro characters. Folklore needs to maybe lift them up and not really compete with them that much, or have her own category of uniqueness that she has nothing to do with the other Hydro characters. you should not be hurting your status quo in order to push out another new status quo. Power creep. Basically, it's what I'm. Don't power creep. So Wake Up Universe says we need an ability that sacks burst energy for buffs. Isn't that Shimenawa? Is that not like basically what you're saying? We need a better Shimenawa. We need a character that does what the Shimenawa does, but on crack. So take like half of your burst gauge, 50%, right? So if you only have one energy, you still get the full buff effect, right? Think about how OP that would be. Then you would always, the sequence of effect is you would always use it right after your character uses a burst. If it's a percentage gauge and not like a strict amount, let's say if they always need to take like 30 energy to get the buff, then it becomes a little bit of a pain in the ass, right? But if it's just a strict percentage, like it needs to take 50% of your currently available energy. You see, it's a very different scenario, right? If you just use your burst, you have like 0. But that doesn't mean that Focalors buff doesn't take effect. Just because you have 0, they'll still take 30% of 0, or like whatever, or 30%, 50%, 80% of 0. Sure. Unless they have a unique mechanic saying like if you have 0, then it doesn't take effect, right? Then it doesn't work. You just don't get the buff. So then you have to make sure you use your burst, and then you also get a little bit of particles back, and then you switch to Focalor. Even if you just have 1 or 2 or 3 particles, it'll take effect. With yes, this is Walrus. By your logic, we can drop Hydro Archon to get better survivability, but lose damage. We can drop Hydro Archon to get better survivability. Yeah. The reverse of Zhongli. Yeah. That could be like I could see that happening. Basically, it's like right now the game is so focused around more damage and no survivability. Right? Nobody cares about survivability. People don't even want to run Kokomi. They rather run Monad for the Omen to have more burst damage, which is insane to think about. But that's how some people want to play the game, and it's proven to be like it's still proven to work actually. So I'm just thinking, how much of a damage burst, how much of a damage bonus the Hydro Archon can potentially give us, versus how much survivability we're losing and how much faster we're dying. Monsters in the Abyss are really starting to ramp up, and like they're clapping cheeks pretty hard, right? Like if you stand there for like 5 seconds, there's a good chance you're dead. Zane 3x says Hydro Resonance just changed to HP, so the cost more likely to be our HP. Yeah, draining HP seems like it's gonna be okay. Like again, I'm not saying that it's gonna be a huge detriment to the game. Like that mechanic, I have no problems with it. It's just if I were Hoyoverse, I would be a little worried in designing a mechanic that drains our unit's HP in an environment where you are already likely sacrificing survivability, unless she is permanently paired with another healer. See, this is a scenario that we're in right now. Not so you have a Focalor plus a healer always. What healer? We don't know. Again, this could be a reintroduction to healers back into the meta. Hoyoverse has been pushing healers for like over a year now. Ever since the shielding meta really took off, slowly but surely Hoyoverse has chipped away at the relevance of shielders and pushed the importance of owning and also investing into good healers. Maybe Focalor is like the final step to achieving true shield heal balance. But right now I feel like healers have become slightly more dominant. I say this and then people will be like, Walrus, but what if you had Shieldler? Yeah, Shieldler. A shielding healer. A shieldler. Hey, I just came up with that. Baiju is a shielder, right? Or a healer. Yeah, so Baiju takes the best of both worlds. It's that, hey, why should we have to choose between shielding and healing? Well, let's take the best of shielding, which is interruption to resistance to interruption, and take the best in healing, which is topping up your health while not even being on the field. Combine the two best things possible in the game, defense-wise, right? Like sustainability-wise, and then you have this perfect unit. Playing him with full Solor is going to feel great if that's her mechanic. Do you guys like Shieler or Healder? This could also be an indirect buff to Baiju. You don't have to choose anymore. You get both. Healder, none. Shieler, Healder. Glitch Variable says shilling sounds like shilling, and I'm no shill. Yeah, like Baiju is a shieler. Baiju will be the new FOMO. Maybe. A lot of people said Baiju like really sucked, but I think Baiju was fine. He's all right. He's a good character. I said he was gonna perform relatively consistently in A tier, like at least in the meta in CN, right? Because I know what CN players like. So having the consolidation of roles for a shielder with a healer into one, the meta players are gonna eat him up consensually, of course, in game, of course. Shieler sounds like a corporate sellout. Glitcherables Noels is also a shield healer more directly for your information. Like a lesser version of it, right? Because her shield is not strong enough to actually tank a lot of damage. Like it can tank some, but not enough, in my opinion, at least by modern Genshin standards. Also, it doesn't refresh fast enough. You see, the thing about Baiju's shield is it just keeps coming back. Sure, it's paper thin, but it keeps coming back. As long as it helps make sure that your character can keep dealing the damage, who cares? Right? But you see, the problem with Noel's shield is that not only is it not durable enough, it also has low uptime. So yeah, and her healing is also very like nowadays. If your healer has to stay on the field to heal you, that is a bad healer. That's why Chi-Chi is a bad healer, kind of, not really, because she has her burst skill. But then again, her burst skill, you got to charge that up. Nowadays, look at Baiju. It's just so effortless. What he does is just so effortless. He's not on the field to take up field time. He gives you all you need to succeed in combat. What's not to like about him? Riona says Baiju is so comfy and heals so much. Yeah, a lot of people felt that Baiju like was like not good because his shield sucked ass. I think we need to get out the mindset that shields are supposed to be this like Zhongli-esque shield. Right? There's plenty of ways to make shielding useful to you. That is not just damage absorption, and especially we have to get used to this concept because Hoyoverse is trying to evolve and take the game in a direction where you cannot think like linear about your features in the game. Does Pyro have to be like synergized with Cryo or Hydro? Or what if eventually, like right now, they're making Mono Pyro, right? Okay, Mono Pyro. What if eventually we have Crystallize having a unique, like, because remember, I said if they're ever going to rework Crystallize, what they should do is have a different, unique effect for Pyro Crystallize, Hydro Crystallize, Cryo Crystallize, and Electro Crystallize. Yeah, having different reactions for these Crystallize could really be beneficial, and then they can design a whole other roster of characters around Crystallize. Just think about that. Not only does redesigning Crystallize solve a lot of problems for Geo characters, it solves a lot of problems for Hoyoverse eventually being able to open up an entire new rosters of characters they can design, like a Crystallize exclusive Pyro character, Crystallize exclusive Hydro, Crystallize exclusive yada 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 yada. You guys get the drill, right? So don't think so linear about a character and their kit and their feature just because they're of a certain element. Shield does not have to be tanky, bulky, and reliable. It can be flimsy, weak, but consistent, right? Mallstar says, that's why Shinobu best healer, I don't care. Alright, let me see. Mallstar says, Walrus, 27 months means we've had 3 kids. We're really starting a little Walrus family here, aren't we? Corpus's Baiju's shield actually sucks in practice because you can easily get interrupted when hitting quick succession. Yes, that is true. I've had that happen to me, and it's super annoying, and I have to play around that, right? You see, his shield doesn't have that reliability that a shield should have. However, the frequency of his shield makes it so as long as you balance his stat a little better, you can get around it. Like, and plus playing the game, like being a little more mindful of that. Like, what I'm basically saying is you have to get used to it. You have to get used to the durability. Like right now, I know when my Zhongli shield is gonna pop. I know, okay, this next hit, I'm not gonna be able to tank that hit. That hit that's coming down that I see, I'm not gonna be able to tank that hit. 100%, I know it. Because I've played it so much, right? And I know that for different enemies as well. Like this boss can hit me this many times, that monster can hit me that many times, this boss and that monster combined can hit me however many times. In the back of my mind, I'm keeping track of how sturdy my Zhongli shield is. It's the same thing with the Baiju shield, but Baiju shield just know that everything's gonna destroy it. But a shield like that sucks. I'm not saying Baiju has a good shield. I'm saying he has a consistent shield, right? So, and that can, like, if it blocks, I don't know, like 1,000 damage or 1,500 damage, but it comes back over and over and over. I don't know. I don't even remember how many times this shield comes back. Let's say it comes back 10 times. Technically, that's a 15,000 damage shield, right? For example, it's just that it's spread amongst multiple iterations of the shield. It just, oh, this blocks 1,500. It's dead now. And then we will replace it with another 1,500 shield. It's really annoying, but it needs to be like this to make sure he's not OP. Glitch Variable says, Walrus, do you think we will ever see another character that can petrify other than Zhongli? Is petrification like... I mean, it's good because it can petrify a lot of monsters that Freeze can't even deal with. But what you're basically highlighting is a CC unit. Because if you build an entire unit around petrification, that unit is going to be like the king of CC. You basically lock the enemies in place permanently, which makes Freeze a questionable meta option, right? Think about it. If you made a petrification unit, why would you ever run Freeze? If this one character can do what 2 characters gets done in the game, why would you know what I'm saying? Goku is saying, I got another concept, good one. A Nemo swirl shield, and swirling different element gives different mechanic. That could work. But you see, a Nemo is already really good. The Nemo, because of the viridescence and and how it synergizes with Swirl, is already really good. They have no need to really adjust a Nemo characters. If they were to redesign the game from scratch, maybe that version of a Nemo could be more beneficial to them, and how they want to take characters and stuff in the game. But as it stands right now, they really don't need to do. They don't really need to do much with a Nemo. But that says, Wars, what do you think about the other artifact set? It buffs officials 70% damage bonus unconditionally. Is that why? What's his name? Is that why? Fuck. What's his name? What's his name? The theory crafter guy. Zajeff. Is that why Zajeff was saying that Fischl was gonna get a buff in 4.0? Is because of the artifact set. Yeah, that's probably why. I don't know, like, I haven't looked into the artifact set effects, but from what people have been saying, that it feels like it's not going to be a universal set for a lot of units. It's just going to be a more niche set. Funny enough, some TC are farming it right now because Navia League says it will be her best inside. Navia is Focalor, I'm guessing. That's her other name, right? I mean, Navia is infinitely easier to say than Focalor. Oh, not. God damn it. Yellow girl. Oh, the Geo girl. I was hoping to stop saying Focalor because this name actually like hurts my brain to say, because I've been saying Focalor for so long, and then yesterday during the live stream when she said like my name is Focalor, I swear my whole life flashed before my eyes. Like I questioned my entire existence. I was just like, what did she say? Yeah, so now I'm forced to say Focalor, even though my brain is like screaming at me. It's like, you mean Focalor? Like, no, Focalor, Focalor. How many people said Focalor? Okay, type 1 if you thought it was Focalor. Type 2 in chat if you thought it was Focalor all along. Because I'll be honest with you guys, I thought it was Focalor this whole time. I've been saying Focalor, and then they come out and be like, it's Focalor. Yeah, like we've been all bamboozled. Yeah, we all had a moment there during the live stream, didn't we? Okay, most of us had a moment there for when they Darth Kun says, I call her Furina the whole time. But since she's French, what if the I is silent and her actual name is Ferna? Ah. Get me once. Shame on you. Get me twice. Shame on me. I'm not going to make that mistakes. Her name is actually Ferna. brain. It's time to activate the biggest of brains. Glitch variable is saying, I'm not eating the Hydro Archon for breakfast. Anyways, Corv says Navia is probably the most exciting thing to happen because of her geo element. What, like, honestly, what the hell is she gonna do? Like, okay, let's actually entertain the idea of Navia, the geo lady, right? She's like the first 5 I don't even know if she's a 5-star, honestly. But every character that's teased in these trailers should be 5 stars, right? Should they not? So they should be 5 stars. So she's going to be the first 5-star Geo character since who? Is it Ito? Have we not got a 5-star Geo unit since Ito? No, 5-star, 5-star. Yunjin is a 4-star. Holy crap, it's been... We've... Oh my lord. Since Ito. Oh, what is... What is she gonna even do? What can she do? If she doesn't, like, I don't think they're gonna revamp Geo because of her, right? Like, unless she's like the queen of Crystallize, but I don't think they're gonna do it just yet. I think they likely will wait even until Natlan to actually revitalize Geo. They'll slowly turn their eyes back onto Geo. Once Focalor is out, or Ferna is out, and they develop, fully flesh out the meta stuff, right? Hydro with Dendro, with Pyro, blah, blah. They set that all up for success. Then they move into the Pyro region. And then finally, now they can focus on Pyro units, replacing Xiangling or side grading Xiangling with better burning, right? Like Natlan could be focused entirely around burning and the Pyro stuff. Melt as well, to be quite honest with you guys, is in such a bad place in comparison to Vaporize that they need to fix that in Natlan. And on top of that, if they also work on Geo and Crystallize in Natlan, that might be an interesting comeback. Nebex says, by the way, Walrus, did you notice how Chlorinde, the Electro Pistol lady, oh, her name is Chlorinde, used Iron Sting in the trailer? Maybe she scales off VM and has some aggravate hyperbole mechanic. Yeah, like nowadays, if I see an Electro character, I immediately think Dendro synergy. Electro right now has no place really outside of Dendro. Unfortunate to say, but hey, that's fine. Pyro right now has no place outside of Vaporize. And you guys know that's a fact. Large Banana is saying, which of the new artifact will be the full Salor best in slot anyone thinks? I haven't really looked into the artifacts just yet. Again, opening leaks for myself is a total floodgate of of potential problems because I might just get spoiled for the story. And I'm telling you guys right now, if I get spoiled in the story, I lose 90% of my drive to even play the game. So I can't take that risk. I can't do it. It's not in least, it's in official media. Oh, can you DM me the link then? I'll take a look. Goku isn't clearly supposed to jump, so why not a DPS? Because right now, Sino is in an aggravate team. Horinde, if she has a pistol, she has a pistol shot. If that pistol shot ends up becoming like an integral part of her kit, I can see her being like a. I can see her being a pretty good combo character. I don't know. I just see her attack, and then mid attack she pulls out a pistol like bam, 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 right, or whatever. It's just like a mixture of martial arts plus pistol fighting, which could be very cool. Renata is probably a burst change weapon character like Child and Raiden. You mean when she uses her burst, she pulls out a gun and she says, "Parry this, you filthy casual!" Boom, 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 boom. She literally, she's the embodiment of don't bring a gun to a sword fight. Oh, Clorinda is a 4-star. Might be good sub. Oh, if she's a 4-star, then we don't need to talk about her anymore because Hoyoverse has an inherent fear of making good 4-star characters nowadays. America representation. She trolls with the bow and then pulls out her Desert Eagle. Yeah, imagine if the one gun just ends all the conflict because the world of Teyvat hasn't seen such advanced weaponry. The heater has been staring at us for 93 minutes straight. That's true. Look, I haven't done any of the contents. I just come on to listen to the music nowadays. And also, I lose a lot of drive to play because I am going to China, right? Because I can't access this account in China. So what ends up happening is like I might have to start all over again in China. Imagine this, chat. Would you play through everything from the story to pulling characters to everything on a new server from scratch up until like type 1 in the chat is you don't mind playing through everything in Genshin Impact all over again from the very beginning to build a new account with none of the characters you have. Would you type 1? People are spamming 2 before I even finish. 1 if you would do it again, 2 if you wouldn't. Yeah, so exactly. So I'm in the situation right now. I have to go to China, and if I want to play Genshin, I have to play a new account, which sucks, right? So I'm losing a lot of motivation. Once I've decided that I'm gonna take the offer in China, I've basically stopped playing because I just don't see it as something that I should be doing or focusing on anymore. It's just not worth my time. Use VPN. I could use VPN, but then with a game like Genshin, what if the ping is like freaking 400? You know what I mean? Genshin is much more problematic than Honkai Star Rail. I think Honkai Star Rail I can play on VPN. What I'm really hoping is that if I'm in CN, I might just start playing some newer CN gacha games. Like if Wuthering Waves have more beta tests, if Wuthering Waves has more things that I could test out in CN, maybe. Right? And maybe there will be CN exclusive titles that I will be able to cover for you guys that eventually makes their way to EN. So if like there are definitely advantages going to CN. It's just that right now I don't get to benefit from them, right? Zenless Zone Zero as well. I'll be playing that game when it comes out, as long as it's not like a mini game simulator. I don't think I'll have a problem, because the difference between Zenless Zone Zero and Genshin and Honkai is that Zenless Zone Zero is a different rating, meaning that the younger audience won't be able to play, meaning there's no incentive to make a bunch of mini games, because those games are probably for the more casual and younger players. So if you're getting a bunch of hardcore players to play your Zenless Zone Zero, it's very combat focused, right? It has a lot more expressive character design. I would like to think that they have a different design philosophy and concept ready for that game. Mathias says, Walrus, they made Exploring Fontaine acceptable to beginners in 4.0. Yeah, but the problem is 4.0 is coming out literally like a day after I go to China. I think you have to be like AR 25, which takes like 2 days, right? Maybe more. Nebex is asking, what are your thoughts on Fontaine developing the mono element part of the meta, referring to Linny and Nebex? So this is how I've always felt it. Mono elements have only existed in the game to sell characters that they have no other means of selling. What do I mean by that? Mono characters are inherently just more expensive. I made a video about this in the past, like maybe 7-8 months ago. Mono units in Genshin Impact are just inherently more expensive, and Hoyoverse knows that. The players, I hope they know that, but Hoyoverse still do it because it makes them good money. For the people who actually are diehard Linny fans, they will hyper invest into him. They will, and Hoyoverse knows that, and they're banking on that. They're banking on the fact that you love this character enough to not only invest in him, but also his weapon, but also the rest of the roster that goes around him, right? So let's say if Dia becomes like a must for this team, you're gonna try your best to eventually hunt for Dia, which brings more value to Dia's rerun. The whole point of building mono teams is to get better returns. Now, it's not going to be better than the Archons in terms of value, that's for sure, but it guarantees, basically, as long as they cultivate a fan base around this character, it guarantees that all future reruns of this character is sure to sell, because those people will eventually want to build this character up more and more and more, right? And most people are not going to be C6 R5ing this character in one go, so you're guaranteed for the next like 5-6 years that people are going to be polling for this character on the rerun. So that's what I think their biggest motivation is behind mono teams. When it comes to effectiveness, mono teams are great, but they're not as good as some of the meta options. So even by meta standards, you shouldn't be tunneling yourself to building mono teams unless you really like them. This is why it's gonna be the same situation in Honkai Star Rail. In the beginning, it might be very good, people might love it, and it might feel amazing to play, but as time goes on, you'll quickly realize that Hoyoverse doesn't want mono teams to be the meta team. They'll let the mono teams exist in a realm that's like, okay, it's good here, very good over there, and useless over there, basically. So Hoyoverse makes these rules, like they set the boundaries of what is possible for these mono teams. So it's just, but they'll make sure it is never meta, because if it's meta, then it trivializes content. They cannot have it trivialize content, so they keep it in a state where it's good enough for people to want to invest into, but not good enough for it to be like the best option ever. A cat just chilling in the background. Which one? Let's take a look. Michi, good boy. Wow. Wow. Good boy, Michi. Oh. Look at this. Hey, Jabba, stop. Stop. Let me move my chair up so you guys can see him. Big cat. A ragdoll? Yes, he is a ragdoll. He's a very noisy ragdoll. Very, very vocal. If you guys can hear him in the back. Sometimes if you guys listen very carefully, you can hear him in the videos. All right. The artifact is here. Okay. Let's take a look at the artifact. So, the artifacts they seem to lock it behind this interactive thing. Let's turn off the music first. Jesus. Sorry, I missed it. It was here. Excuse me? Official main's eating good. But like, what about Nahida? Is this set? Wait, I'm confused. Wait, what is my Nahida running? Wait, is it better? Is it better or worse than what Nahida's running? Does Nahida's skill not? Nahida's running this. Dendro damage 15%. After elemental skill bursts, the target's Dendro resistance will be decreased by 30% for 8 seconds. Trigger even after. Nahida, I mean, if you want to turn her into like this just raw damage dealer, like from her elemental, because her elemental skill does a lot of damage. A lot of damage. Like that's her entire like damage kit, right? Which, like, looking at this, 15% Dendro damage is not enough to make up for 75%, but the foresight effect is reducing the enemy's Dendro resistance by 30% for 8 seconds. This one is, but I guess this is more of a like a supportive set, to be honest. It's in support of, I mean, it helps her as well, obviously. I don't know. I don't think it's worth it to change. Okay. Good to know. Official's gonna be good. Like just units that solely exist for their elemental skill damage. What about Yaimiko? Would Yaimiko want this? But Yaimiko's burst skill is also very important. So I don't know, maybe C6 Yaimiko using this would be absolutely insane. Imagine a C6 Yaimiko with this. Can Hydro Archon use this? That's a very interesting question because I don't know, like Hydro Archon using this. This is just so basic. Yai need on fuel more than 2 seconds, but so does Fischl when she refreshes with her burst skill. What about off-field Raiden? But then you're losing Raiden's what's that called? I guess you could make off-field Raiden work with this 75% damage, but off-field Raiden's damage is not that impressive to begin with. Her elemental skill isn't that good. 75% elemental skill damage. No wonder people have been going crazy for Fischl. Now looking at this one, normal charge attack 15%, force set piece when current HP increases or decreases crit rate will be increased by 12% for 5 seconds max 3 stacks. Very short. I don't know, this one seems a lot more difficult to balance. But 36% crit rate at max stacks, that's insane. Meaning that if you run this set, you can guarantee yourself to run the crit damage circlet. How about Albedo? Right, Albedo might. But who's playing Albedo nowadays? 75% damage. Albedo is like doing what? Is Albedo's like really, if you invested in, can you do 20k? Think about it. If you can do 20k with Albedo, that's only like you only get to do like 30 something thousand, 30 something k. 27k? Okay, 27k, you'll probably get to 40k with this set. Yeah. He can then like pretty good 40k per tick of his elemental skill. Sikar says, but he already have his set and it's better. What is my Albedo running? Albedo. Oh, he's not running jack shit. What are people running for him? I don't even know what people are running for him anymore nowadays. Is it the Ito set? It's the Ito set, isn't it? Where is it? Husk. This is the set. Defense 30%. Will obtain the when on the field. The character gains 1 stack after hitting an opponent with a. Oh right. right. Sorry, my calculations are this. You see, this is why I'm not a theory crafter. You won't get 40k from 27k because you're losing all the buffs from this artifact set. You see, this is poor old Walrus completely forgetting the fact that you're first gonna have to lose all this, then get the 75% buff. It's not the 75% buff on top of this. So you're probably gonna go down all the way to, I don't know, like, is it gonna even be 27k? Right, this is the problem. Same with Fischl. What is Fischl using nowadays? What are people running for Fischl? How big of a buff will it actually be? I must have missed her. Where is she? I forgot how Fischl looks. There. I also don't know what she's running. If Fischl is running like two-piece, like two-piece Thundering Fury and two-piece Gladiators, and yeah, this is gonna be a big boost. Yeah, that is gonna be a big boost. My god. But I'm not gonna really say Fischl is like, Oz damage is important, but Oz application is even more important. I don't know. I don't think it's like a full-on like 75% buff, because you are losing the attack percent from the Gladiator. You're also losing some electro percentage damage from the thing. What's it called? Electro from Thundering Fury. So the overall damage is probably going to be slightly less. I'm thinking maybe you're gonna get like it's more close to a 50% damage bonus as opposed to the full 75%. Because we can take the 15% electro damage just as that. 15% electro damage and 25% skill, like, and 15% skill damage it should be the same, right? It's the same boost because her skill is just electro. And if you're boosting skill damage by 15% and boosting her electro damage by 15%, it's the same thing, right? So losing Thundering Fury basically is like a 1-for-1 loss of what you're going to get for the new set. And then the attack percentage is probably a little less than that because it has to scale into the skill and not fully derivative from just the attack percentage bonus. So the attack percentage is left, but give or take, I think the attack percentage was what, 15%? And then the Thundering Fury is what, 15%? So yeah, give or take is like maybe 20%. So you're losing around like 20%. So the new set gives you 75, you lose 20%, you still get 55. So you're technically changing over from what you currently have. If all the crit rate, crit damage is all the same, you're still losing roughly 20%. 50% damage bonus, it's insane. It's insane. But again, back to my old point is that Fischl's Oz damage has never really been like imagine if that's all it did. It doesn't apply electro. I don't think Fischl's going to be a good character. She's a good character because it does decent damage and it applies good electro, and it has damn near 100% uptime. That's the thing about Fischl, right? 100% off-field electro uptime with good damage. So adding the 50% is important, but I honestly don't think it's gonna make or break Fischl. Like, it's an upgrade, sure, that's good, but it's not gonna make her like insanely like Bennett level or something like that. But it's a welcomed addition. More damage is always welcome, but I think it's not as big as people would want it to be. The second set on Zhao is also insane. Yeah, extra crit rate. What's the second set's first? Normal and charge attack damage. Yeah, and the 4-piece effect only works on Zhao and not Hu Tao, because Zhao is constantly losing health in his burst state. So this, you get max stacks permanently. Whereas Hu Tao is like a one instance, right? So Hu Tao can't really use this. Who else actually bleeds HP? Imagine if the Hydro Archon just bleeds your HP very slowly. Like the Hydro Archon bleeds like 5% of your health every second. For 10 seconds. She's like a corrosion. For the sake of entertainment, right? When current HP increases or decreases. I see. Oh my goodness. So what if the Hydro Archon takes your health and then gives it back at the end? I don't know. Coco Me crit set. Oh my god, this is so... This set, man, what is this set? Basically Burgeon teams. Yeah, Burgeon teams be out here being like, our time has come, we burn ourselves. But then again, Dia, wait, what the fuck? Dia? Testing. Thank you for the 5. Says, will you be streaming while you're in China? How long will you be there? Also, could you please provide us some wisdom in Mandarin? The thing is, but I'm going to China to visit a construction project that I've been hired to oversee. The problem right now is that they're not scheduled for actual development yet. So I'm going to see the site first. So it's a very early thing. But just seeing the site and working with the company and stuff, it's gonna take some time. And minimum, I'll be gone for 4 months, and I cannot stream in China. I have friends who are in China who tried YouTube streaming, and my god, it was horrendous. It was just unwatchable. It was buffering the whole time. It was laggy. It was just like, it was not doable, right? And they use VPN because the only way you can stream on YouTube is through VPN. And I think Twitch is also blocked. Twitch is also blocked in CN. And providing wisdom in Mandarin. You want me to make a full-on Mandarin video? My Mandarin's not that good. It's good enough, but not that good. Stream on Douyin. What about stream on Bilibili? I will be, yeah, speaking of, I will be checking in on Discord. I will be making videos. It's just I'm not going to be able to live stream, which really sucks. Live streaming is like, I only have 2 live streams a week, right? So it really does suck. It feels bad, man. Do you think Fossilor can save Dia? The only thing that can save Dia is our Overlord Hoyoverse. If they want to save Dia, they will. If they don't want to save Dia, we're fucked. Sang says stream on Bilibili and pass us the link. Now, also the thing is, you know, work culture in China is kind of fucked up. I don't know if I should even be saying this, but I'm very aware of how hard a lot of people have to work and how it's expected of you to work outside of work hours, but it's not actually work, you know, like meeting with clients after work for like for drinks, for food, right? And then also for other people, your coworkers also probably want to hang out. There's a lot of like lifestyle thing that, and that's part of work. Socializing in China is working. A lot of people have problems. A lot of people have problems understanding this, is that in China, you're expected to socialize outside of your workspace to build the connection that's needed to actually close deals and move projects along. So a lot of times, even though I finish my work, I probably have to go meet with people, deal with people, and just continuously push things along outside of working hours. That's just the culture there. I've seen plenty of friends go back and have to do the same, and it's not like it's bad. Think about it. You're basically playing with them. Right, you have to play with them to get to know them better, or like playing, like drinking, eating stuff to know better. And of course, a lot of times work conversations will get brought up outside of working environments. I mean, the Chinese people in chat should know what I'm talking about, right? 绝世黄瓜 should know what I'm talking about. Socializing you, yeah, touching grass basically. Damn, that sounds tiring. Western culture is more of a clock and clock. Yeah, basically your work bleeds into your life in China. You cannot really find success, like good, like if you want to just get by with a job, that's fine, right? That's fine. You don't need to talk with your coworkers, but especially if you are in the business I am in, which is real estate, right? Working with these big developers, commercial real estate, it could get pretty dicey if you choose to ignore them, because you might come off as like antisocial. You might come off as, and they just might not know you very well, right? If they don't know you very well, how are they going to feel comfortable moving like a $1 billion project along with you? They're not going to want to do that. I mean, they will if they have to, but it's going to be a much more difficult process than if they were to know you very well, right? And you socialize with them, you keep them entertained, happy, whatever, and they tell you more than they really should, and then you get the job done faster. Yoshua says, "Oh, I've lived in Western society 99% of my life. Come back to China with me." Glitch Verba says, I hate go touch grass phrase. I got in trouble because I thought go touch grass you were saying to go get burned up in Genshin. To be honest, I said that and got suspended on Facebook. Imagine, go touch grass means go play Dendro, right? Oh, no. Matt says, so you got a mask 24/7. Yep. Yeah, don't mistake like playing with them, having fun with them, with meaning like telling them your whole life story. No. You keep to yourself. You strictly focus on work, and they're going to strictly focus on work. They're going to try to get information out of you while you have to defend your information and try to get information out of them. It's a whole freaking game that you're playing with them, whereas like they'll try to say phrases to get you to respond in a certain way, and then they'll quote that, and in the future meetings they might say like, oh yeah, but Walrus, you said that thing, remember the thing you said? Yeah, you said that, right? Everybody, he said that. Then you're fucked, right? So it's just like, even outside of work, you have to socialize, but you have to be very, very careful with what you say and how you say it. It's just a constant battle of wits. Yeah, 5D chess. Yeah, exactly. You're just there playing 5D chess, especially in like these mega corporations. I don't think I can disclose what project I'm working on, nor the company I'm working for, because it's against my terms conditions. They're working on a project. That's all I can tell you guys. A project in China. So I'm going to go back and work with them on that. But It's literally a mind game. Last time I went to China, it wasn't even for something this big. I told you guys I worked at a firm, at a media company, writing screenplays, basically, or help editing screenplays. Right? I was on a team of writers, and we were like churning out these screenplays. I don't think any of them even got used in the end. So I was there for like a year working, writing, and I was like, screw this, I'm out. But going back to China is a battle in of itself, and I think I'm much more prepared this time, and hopefully things go well. Large Banana says, what is politics, man? Why politics and work always? I try to keep myself at work, ended up making enemies for not engaging with the politics. Yeah, they'll isolate you as well. Like if you never engage, they basically will make fun of you, they'll harass you, they'll basically you basically get isolated as well. Like it's a lose-lose. If you engage and you suck at engaging, you get fucked. If you don't engage, you get fucked. But if you don't engage, you are 100% to get fucked. But if you engage and you play the game well and you're smart about it, right, at least there's a chance that they might just leave you alone. Chris Bird says, will you be still making videos on Genshin while in China? Yeah, I'm gonna be making videos, and I'm also gonna be looking to play some new Chinese gacha games, because think about it, like all the games we've been looking at in recent times have been mostly CN gacha games, right? I mean, it's just HoYoverse games, but there's Kuro Games is a Chinese company who makes Wuthering Wave, so that's gonna come out hopefully within 1 year, if not by the end of this year. So if that comes out, I probably will cover that, and I'll be in CN, so I can start a new account, like, because that's a new game. I'll just play a CN account, right? But to wrap up this live stream, this is my third last live stream before I go to China. Remember, live streams won't be happening, but videos will. Okay? Is YouTube allowed in China? How will you post content? YouTube is not allowed. I have a VPN that I'll be using to post content, and as long as I'm not talking about politics, they'll leave me alone. There's plenty of companies in China that needs to use VPNs to work. Ironic, isn't it? Yeah, there's plenty of like companies in China that operate like, and we're talking like big companies, we're talking like multi-billion-dollar companies, right? Bigger than HoYoverse, uses VPN to do market research, to interact with talents from abroad, stuff like that. Like plenty of people in China uses VPNs. The main reason VPNs is permitted, it's a legal gray area basically in China, as long as you're not hurting the agenda of the government. Like, don't get too political, like, right? If your goal is just to make a quick buck and you need a VPN to make a quick buck, they won't care. But if you are using a VPN to do like bad things, right, spread negative propaganda, you might find yourself a quick visit to a very isolated and cold prison cell. Large Banana says, can you still criticize HoYoverse over that? Oh yeah, absolutely. There's plenty of people who be shitting on HoYoverse on a constant, on a daily basis. But yeah, if I suddenly stop posting YouTube videos without giving you guys a reason, you guys would know what happened. Your boy spoke too much. But let's record a video. I hope it doesn't crash. I hope it doesn't crash. We're going to talk about the artifacts. We're going to talk about the general meta and potential changes, and also how, based off of what we got for Linny during the live stream and a little bit of what people have been saying, we'll talk a little bit about him, the potential of the mono team and stuff, and we'll move on. It's going to be a Linny focused video, right? Is this set going to be, which set is going to be for Linny? This one, I'm guessing, the second set, normal and charge attack. Yes, he's a charge attack. I don't think he's going to be using this. Maybe. Or maybe he uses the old set. I don't know. I haven't looked into it. All right. So let's make a video. Let's make a video. All right. Okay. before I click record, there's a very good chance that the second I press record, the stream just ends because it crashes my OBS. I'm telling you guys that right now. It's a legitimate concern. So I'm just saying. And if it crashes, then I'm just gonna have to record by myself like last time. That's so tragic. 50-50. This is a 50-50 we don't want to win. So yeah, let's do the sign off, the 07s before I click record, because this very much could end the stream right here. Please, 50-50. Please lose the 50-50. All right. Let's pray. I'm gonna click it, and it's gonna start recording. 3, 2, 1. Hello? Am I still live? Okay, I think we're good. Okay, we're good. We're still here. Yes, let's go. Okay, now you guys can spam the hi YouTube, everything. All right, let's go. Sup everyone, welcome back to the video. Today OBS is back and working again. I've been chilling here 2 hours something live stream, talking with chat about Fontaine 4.0, Linny, Lynette, Fossilor, Farina, like all the stuff. And of course on the screen you guys see the new artifacts that's coming out. There's quite a bit to cover, so we're just gonna jump right into it. Let's first talk about the new characters before we even talk about the artifact set. Linny is a pyro character, a pyro bow character. A lot of people immediately just cringe at the thought of having to use a bow, and it seems like in the live stream he's also revolving around charge attacks. Like Honkai, you have to understand, not only are you weeding out a large portion of your fan base with the general character design. Again, I'm not saying, right? I'm not saying there's a problem with it. I'm just saying you're tunneling very hard into a specific demographic of players that you're already weeding out a lot of players just by saying, oh, you know, like I don't really like how he looks, like his general vibe. Not for me, probably skipping, right? You're already weeding out a ton of people, maybe not a ton, like maybe give 20%, right? 10-20%, give or take. And on top of that, you're gonna make a charge attack bow character. Do you realize how many people you're actively telling, hey, don't pull for this character? So now we gotta evaluate his strength, right? Like, is this character OP? Is he just insane? From what it seems like, everybody's saying, hey, wanna play him as a mono pyro character, which again, I've made videos in the past. Mono teams are not cheap. Now, the benefit right now is that most people probably have a well-built Bennett to the point where you're not going to need to then like pull and wail out for the dedicated 4-star buffer like Goro, like Kujosara, and also like the most recent Faruzan. So most people right now don't need to spend that extra money. And Bennett C6 actually doesn't have any really benefits towards his character, right? So it's just the attack percentage buff for Bennett, and most people will have Bennett as C1 by now. If not, you get a free one in 4.0. So that's the big driving factor in building this team. On top of that, you're going to build a mono team. It seems like you can't get away from having to run Dia. Oh, no. Once again, Honkai here is selling you to us. Once again, Honkai is here to sell you a solution to a problem they've created many patches ago. It seems like that Dia will have the added benefit of being able to slot into this team fairly comfortably. Again, mono teams is the subject of discussion here. If Linny is a mono team carry, like damage carry, right? You likely will have Linny, you have a secondary, like either Xiangling being an off-field pyro, or some people were saying that they want to run Yanfei to help him with interruption resistance. But then if you have Dia, then Yanfei's interruption resistance is going to be less valuable, meaning that you can probably then swap out your Yanfei and just play your Xiangling. But if you don't have Dia, playing Yanfei as C4, right, and then playing Xiangling as your 4th damage option, you have a nice solid pyro mono team. Now here's the situation right now, okay? Mono pyro is going to be a good option. So I've said that. But mono teams in Genshin Impact throughout the history of Genshin existence has never really dominated the meta space. They've always been good options because right now HoYoverse needs to make up for the sales they have lost out in the last 2 patches. People have been just gutting HoYoverse, but then again, they're making $10 million give or take across all platforms. Is that very little money? Only respectively to the previous month of sales they've had. So when it comes to HoYoverse, 10 million is very little, but in general, 10 million is still a ton of money. Nonetheless, if this continues, HoYoverse is not going to be a very happy company, especially investors or the top dogs are going to be like, Dawei, my guy, what you doing, man? So making sure Linny hits the ground running is going to be a big factor in overall effectiveness of 4.0. Oh, Beluga-chan. Tonight's dinner is chicken wings and bok choy. Oh wait, is this Napa? Oh, it's Napa cabbage. Don't worry, we'll continue recording. Which leads me to, I love how I just go right back into it. Okay. Which leads me to think that Linny might be a slightly overtuned character. Might be, right? So think about it like this. If Linny has good damage ceiling, the problem with pyro characters and just characters in general has always been their ceilings. Linny's ceiling needs to get pushed up in order for enough people to want to pull for this character. Now, the meta slaves will only pull for some of the best characters in the game, especially with Full Solar around the corner. Can HoYoverse tank 4.0 banner as well as 4.1 banners, right? Both of these patches likely will have new characters in it, but if everybody's just like, I'm waiting for the Hydro Archon, I'm skipping both, if not all the characters, then HoYoverse might start having an issue. And realistically, how well is Full Solar going to sell? Can you really bank on Full Solar making up 4 patches of like less than 50% in sales? I don't think so. Then again, 4.0 has Yelan, has Zhongli, has Mr. Worldwide. So realistically, I think that Yelan might make up for a good bulk of the sales as well. And it's evident because HoYoverse knows Yelan sells well. Yelan has basically the current record alongside with Hu Tao being the best sold banner in history, period, bar none. It's also because Yelan inherently has value to building her to C6, and with HoYoverse proving that they don't want to do power creeping in the game, continuing to invest into a C6 Yelan should be on the top of the list for most, if not all, main meta players. Getting a C6 Yelan is basically beating the game. I mean, you guys would think, but Walrus, I beat the game. But no, what I mean by C6 Yelan is like the pinnacle of what Genshin Impact has to offer. And offering that banner right now is evident that HoYoverse needs to drive some sales. I wouldn't even be surprised if Yelan outsells Linny, although we don't have such accurate or precise data points to be able to gauge which character sold specifically more or less. But what we can refer to is next patch, when we get Linny and then we see the Abyss usage with the stuff, roughly we'll know meta wise how many people actually pull for Linny. Oh my goodness. And this is his banner, right? Right now we roughly know in the meta. Right now, if we look at the right now, if we look at the Abyss usage meta charts from the CN players, which I've been showcasing for the last few patches now, it's evident that Baiju was fairly well received and he sits very comfortably in A tier. Linny, however, I would want to believe that he is a solid A tier character, maybe rivaling the likes of Hu Tao. However, that's a very tall task to ask because Hu Tao is constantly fluctuating. Because Hu Tao is not always comfortably sitting in A tier or S tier. So Linny, you have very big shoes to fill. And honestly, if this character flops, HoYoverse really needs to pick up the bag with Full Solar. Right now, Linny aside, let's talk about the artifact sets. This is why a lot of people, for like the longest time I can remember, been saying that Fischl is going to be just eating super well. Yes, 75% elemental damage increase, but you got to remember, you got to exclude the amount of bonuses that her current artifacts is giving. So after some quick rough whatever, like very rough math, you're probably getting around 55% of the elemental damage bonus, which is still insane. But then again, I said to chat is that I don't think Fischl as a character, people have been playing her because of how much damage Oz can do, right? And this is not going to really change much. She's still going to be amazing. Yeah, don't get me wrong. A useful buff, more damage, always useful. But overall, it's not going to be something that takes her from, let's say right now, solid A tier, S tier character to like the best character in the game, right? Like same tier as Bennett. Don't think so. Not that big of a buff, but Fischl mains, Fischl players, you're going to have a lot more fun with this artifact set for sure. But let's be honest here. Do you guys think that Hoyoverse released an entire artifact set for a 4-star character that was released like almost 3 years ago? I don't think so. So we got to look to other options. We're thinking of Albedo and potentially future characters. So right now, your guess is as good as mine. Is this going to be the Dendro Archon set? Is this going to be the Dendro Archon set? Both of these sets looks a little kind of off thematically in terms of the Dendro Archon. If we had to choose one thematics, maybe this Golden Trope set is going to be more fitted to the general aesthetics of the Archon. But it is very likely that 4.2 is going to drop another artifact set because they always skip a patch, I believe. Was it skip one patch or skip two patches? But every couple patches, they'll drop a new artifact set. So it's likely that the Hydro Archon set might come out with the Hydro Archon. So maybe not good to speculate that far. Okay. But Albedo, we were talking about, could use this set, but it's just not that many. We were looking at Nahida potentially using this set, but right now all these characters have really good sets, and just piling raw damage is not really a smart answer. So Golden Troop, as good as it sounds for some, right? Yaimiko maybe even could use this, but as good as it sounds for some, it's going to be fairly limited to who can use this. Onwards to Marichals Hunter. This set, we were saying that the Zhao would really like this. And a key note to point out here is that when current HP increases or decreases. So this might be a DPS option set that could synergize with future mechanics, because it's such a weirdly phrased artifact set. It's like increases or decreases. So healing you can activate it, losing health can activate it. Zhao's constantly bleeding health, so he can get a 36% immediately, which is huge, meaning that all Zhao's now and going forward will be playing strictly with crit damage circlet, right? So, I mean, there's just a ton of things that we need to consider when looking at these artifacts, not just to take them as face value and how they work right now and with current characters. Overall, I think 4.0 is going to be solid. If you want to talk about overall value and longevity, I still think investing in Yelan is super smart decision. Even if you have her as C0, investing in C1 Yelan is only going to benefit you more in the long run. She's going to become more consistent. She's going to generate more particles, more burst damage. What not to like about C1, right? And more utility in the overworld. C1 Yelan is superb, amazing, chef's kiss, right? And eventually building up to C2, C3. If you're at C4, C5 Yelan right now, moving up to that C6 is gonna change your game. Like, it'll make your Genshin experience a lot more fluid. On top of, on top of having you secure one of the best characters in the game, you basically never have to pull another character ever again until Hoyoverse does something about this character. So I wish you guys the best of luck. Linny, I don't think is going to become the staple of the meta. I think he's just going to sit around Hu Tao like in the future when he finally cools off and his abyss has passed and he's just another DPS. Don't get me wrong, there's going to be a ton of people who love playing him. There's going to be people investing in him, showcasing he's doing great damage, but I don't think he's going to become like a DPS staple. I don't think so. Like, he's like a pyro version of Ganyu and newer, right? So, I mean, take it as what it is. Maybe he's going to be good, right? I don't want it to sound like I'm telling you guys, don't pull him because he's not going to be meta, because that's how people interpret what I'm saying. What I'm saying is, I don't see him redefining what power and meta is in Genshin Impact. And of course, not many characters can do that, right? Very few have ever come out and done that, but they exist in the game, and those characters will come again. And I'm just saying, Linny isn't one of them. So that's all I gotta say for this. Believe it or not, I'm very excited for 4.0, but unfortunately, I'm not going to be able to play it live on my account because I'll be in China. Maybe I'll use VPN and play it, but playing Genshin on like 400 ping probably isn't going to be very fun. At least that's what I think. And combat is going to be a nightmare. And plus, I'm going to be skipping all the characters in 4.0. I'm really more interested in the story. So we'll see how I'm going to bypass that. All right. Thank you guys so much for watching. Thank you, chat, for sticking with me through the live stream. We have 2 more live streams until I go to China. So until the next one, I urge y'all to stay safe. Peace, peace. Bye-bye. Boom. Okay. That's the live stream. Nice chatting with you guys. I'll see you guys on Wednesday. Exciting stuff. Exciting stuff. Michi has made an appearance on the live stream. Oh, Beluga-chan suddenly has big eyeballs. Beluga-chan, you want to see Michi? Yes, but you gotta now show yourself on stream. Oh, she doesn't want to. Well, that's it for the stream. Bye-bye. Kafka's